I wonder how many dog lovers are present in this room. But how many of us have given a thought about the street dogs we come across on daily basis? Our next speaker is labeled the dog father of India or dog whisperer. He set about creating VOSD dog care after the press reported the death of a 2-year-old boy named Sandeep in July 2011, reportedly killed and eaten by stray dogs. Mr. Rakesh Shukla carried out independent investigations, including a second autopsy, and came away with evidence that shifted the blame away from the dogs. He has brought together love for tech and for dogs. He has bootstrapped the world's largest tech content company, the Writer's Block, and is also the founder of VOSD Dog Care, the world's largest no-kill dog sanctuary and rescue. We are proud to welcome him on stage to talk about true grit, creating success in startups and life. Can I have a round of applause for Mr. Rakesh Shukla, please?
No, I can stand and talk. That's okay. What's this is to say next? I'm better standing. Okay. I must get the award for the most shabbily dressed guy who's speaking here today. So I'm sure that you've got a lot of perspective the whole day today, which is about running companies, scaling companies, doing great with what you guys do. Sure that most of you are here because you want to be, or you are entrepreneurs, you want to make world-class companies. I'll share a little bit of my own journey. This journey, though, is I will not talk entirely about my personal life and my personal challenges and how I overcame them, but I will talk a little bit about that, but more about the lessons that I learned from I would say, an eventful life. This is the reason for why I'm barefoot and I busted a 11 kVA high tension line 2.5 months back. The day before is the first day that I've actually walked in those 2.5 months. But this is not the first time, and one gentleman here was asking me, this is not the first time that I've almost killed myself. I have a long history of wanting to kill myself in one way or the other. But I also have a long history of overcoming that. And that's what I speak about. I talk about grit. Because as I've learned and as I will share with you, it's not intelligence, it's not just hard work, it's not just those qualities that separate people who do great in life and people who don't, the average and the very successful. I found that quality is grit. People just have a gritty determination to kind of wanting to just continue to do what they truly believe in. And that also kind of begs the question of what you really truly believe in. So I live an interesting life, as somebody said, introducing me. I'm papa to 800 dogs, and I have horses and calves, and I run 3 enterprises. I will talk about that shortly. But my greatest love is dogs, and my greatest lessons come from there. That dog, by the way, is called Husna. And Husna doesn't have half a snout. I've got 5 dogs like that. And they are a great, and I will talk about it in a little bit. They are a great educator about what is the idea of grit and determination. Because if you meet her, she will never make, she's 6 years old now, and she got hit within like the first 15 days of her life, but and her eyes not opened at that time. But you would never think that she is in any way, she's never felt sorry for herself. You'll never feel sorry for her when you meet her, and that's a great lesson that I've learned from her. So very quickly, and I don't want to bore you, but this is enterprise 1 that I started, and I scaled it. I made it into something which is world-class. A lot of the biggest tech companies in Bangalore, across India and across the world are TWB customers. You can see the biggest names that we still continue to service or we are servicing again. Um, as part of this same enterprise, we run a sister organization called TWB Education or TWB Certifications. Um, and my greatest love, the dogs, of course. We are today the largest no-kill sanctuary for dogs in the world. We have rescued 8,000 plus dogs so far, 250,000 medical treatments given to these rescued dogs, and there are 800 plus dogs that live with us. We are known across the world for what we do. This dog, interestingly, is acid attack victim in Bombay. Two guys caught him and poured acid in his eyes, and he also lives with me. And so we bring dogs from all across the country, dogs that have no hope. Okay, so people have their own things about when they become successful, they buy more cars and whatever people want to do. I just add up adding dogs, right? That's what I do. Can somebody play it for me, please? No, just go back. Click on the image on the side because somebody else made it. Okay, well, doesn't matter. I thought it was connected. That's all right. So I'll cut a long story short. What this AV was showing was what happened. And that is where the lessons that I was talking about come from. Because those lessons, unlike a lot of people would talk to you about, are not the lessons about making entirely a very successful company. So that I made TWB or I made TWB Education and then I made VOSD. The first time art is not my story for today. So that's not my talk. Okay? And there's a great difference, for example, between most of you in terms of age and me. You guys are 25, 30 maybe. Yeah, that's the average startup guy today. Okay, I'm 47. Okay, and I'm starting up all over again. And the reason for that was because of the dogs. And I'm just paraphrasing the AV that should have run. There's a whole bunch of people that don't like me, let me put it mildly, okay? So I got caught into a whole vortex of court cases, criminal cases. The amount of criminal cases against me in the city is not funny. You think I was a gangster of some sort. I have to carry security with me all the time, so I live an interesting life. But what happened 4 years ago was that this became so overwhelming. I actually got arrested and I was locked away and, I couldn't run my company anymore. Okay? That's also the first time I went to a police station. These are not things that a tech guy, if you're successful with education or for the rest of your life, this is not the experience that you want to go through or you have prepared yourself for. Okay? So essentially, without me, my company just completely collapsed. And I will talk about the lessons as I go forward in this talk. So I went from like 300 employees to 1 employee in 6 months. Okay? And that's my talk, which is everybody goes out, you have an idea, or you think that other people have an idea, and you want to actually productionize it, you want to make money off it. You find like-minded people, you start up a company, you start looking for capital, and if all goes well, you start acquiring customers and start scaling it up, right? So you have cash flow. And that's what I did, except that I didn't look for external money because my companies were made on internal accrual only. And we were successful doing like I showed you, we were successful doing what we were doing. But now everything was reset to 0. But it's not actually 0, because my IOUs, the debt that I carried to run this organization for 6 months without any revenue and still running these buildings and paying people salaries, and the tax implications of that thereof. So I was negative $4 million in no time. Yeah, and I'm the only employee in the company now. Okay. So I think that's that's the challenge, to fight back from that point. And it's not funny where the people that you knew, um, all the help that you could actually, no VC, no bank, nobody's going to talk to you, okay? And like I said, I didn't have any VC kind of relationships, but I had banking relationships. But now these banks are, as long as you had money coming in every month in the account, they're nice. They want to, they want to buy you Coke and cold drinks and call you for their annual meets. But when the money is not coming into their accounts, they actually, I mean, my personal account as well as my corporate account got frozen one day because they said too many checks are bouncing. We don't want to have this relationship. So I'm down $4 million. I'm the only person. I don't have any bank accounts. And now I've got to build this whole thing back. Okay? Of course, the reason I'm here is because I built a lot of it back, and we are going to be many times the size that we were 4 years ago. But that's great, because you have every reason to stop wanting to do this anymore. Of course, I could not stop doing it because I still, even at that stage, I had like 600 dogs, right? And anybody here's got dogs or has a dog at home? Right, so there are like 4, 5, 10 people. Great. At an average, how much would you spend on a dog? $2,000 a month with the food? Is it fair to say? Yeah, 1,000, 2,000? 20? 20,000? Wow. But even at 2 grand, right? You do the math at 600, or you do the math at 800. You start talking some real numbers now, right? So I didn't have the option of quitting. So I did many things, and the whole journey is not really what I want to delve into, what I did, what I didn't do. But I'll give you some markers of what I could call as progress. Okay? So we had to rejig our model because now I don't have 300 employees, or didn't have 300 employees, right? And we are so we provided a service. And this is a service that India's first nuclear submarine uses that service. It has tech comms that comes from TWB. The Jaguars come with tech comms that come from TWB. The the Toyota Etios, the Toyota Etios platforms comes from tech comm that comes from TWB. I mean, from manufacturing to defense to SAP uses a lot of our stuff. Oracle, pretty much any big tech company. Okay, but I don't have those people. I couldn't service them anymore. So of course, the first step to recover whatever money, I liquidated every asset that I had. So that's part of my, be careful with your money when you make it, okay? Don't lock it up in nonsensical stuff. But there is no value in those things. Buying houses, buying cars it has no value. But you can never recover, okay? And you never plan for that eventuality that things will go south. I never planned for that eventuality that things would go south, right? Because I just kept growing. So first year, you were 1 employee. Second year, I mean, at the end of first year, we were like 10 employees. At the end of second year, we were like, 50. We became 150. We became 250. So you never think that it's going to stop. And you never think the cash flow is going to stop. But you don't control all the variables in your life. As much as you want to have control, you don't, right? So be careful with that money. One of the things that we've done today is that my bill rate. So you've seen a lot of this consultative selling. People talk about, that Infosys or any big service company should be a consultant, or that's what they should sell to their customers. Most of them end up selling the same writing code stuff. But my bill rate today for a person a day is the same as what we used to do for a person a month. So 3 people today, we're 3 guys. 3 people today is like 90 people before. Because if you ask for our services, it's expensive. Because we do something which is really strategic. We really make a big difference. We don't do the stuff that we used to. So we're not going to make the same kind of content that we used to make 4 years ago. Not that we don't know how to make it, but it doesn't interest me anymore. Like I said, money is about cash and cash flow. Okay? At that time, we were operating at 20%, 25, 30%. Yeah. Today, if there is a gross on the consultative part, I mean, you run at 90% gross, right? So why would I want to do something which gets me 25% when I can run on 90%? It doesn't make any sense, right? So that's what we're building. Um, when I lost all the offices and everything, all the employees, we also lost all the servers. Um, and we don't have these big classrooms. We don't have this ability for scores of students to come and sit in our classes and do that. Okay. But how do you overcome that challenge? What do you do? So I just spoke about something that we did for TWB. Now there's something for TWB education. So when we started kind of putting ourselves back, my first investment went into, because technology's changed, the world around us has changed, my first investment back into recreating the server part of it. So we said, okay, well, we don't really need all this big infrastructure and big offices to have this, big ACs running and people coming and getting trained, when we can do most of it online. Okay, so we run this system where we can actually train individuals as well as large corporates, which requires only 10% face time, not even 10% face time. It's run all online. It's the largest certification process, the largest certification authority in what we do today worldwide. So that's something. I mean, there's a large part of a lot of tech companies that use our services because they want to train their people to do something better. And what good engineers should do and could do. So obviously, I mentioned about taking care of dogs and my love for them and so on and so forth. And I was left with little or no money, right? So the one thing that used to hit me a lot, and we run this rescue, we actually keep picking up more dogs. And these are not usual dogs. I mean, no dogs come to me because they're happy and hale and hearty. They come to me because they have nowhere to go and they have a real medical problem, right? So that started or caused me to start looking at how the pharma business works. I mean, I'm a tech guy, all right, but I'm a telecom tech guy. I'm not a biotechnology tech guy. But that's the whole thing. I mean, as an engineer, you start looking at a problem and you start disassembling it. So my first attempt was only to break down what we can actually internally produce, so our dogs have the benefit of those products. And so I disassembled a lot of products, products that are over-the-counter kind of products. And so this is like purely your chemical engineering, which was my worst subject when I was studying, because I didn't like chemistry at all. Physics was fine, but chemistry, no go. But that was all right, because we kind of disassembled that problem, and we said, okay, how do you recreate these products? So instead of buying something that you apply for your dog for not to have ticks, how do I make it? Because my cost of buying that one product, just the tick and flea product, in 1 year for my dogs is 25 lakh rupees. So if I can go from 25 lakh rupees to anything which is, if I can save 10 lakh rupees, that's a lot, right? But I need to disassemble and actually reassemble that product myself. So I'm not selling in the market, but I'm making it for myself. That was the challenge. And to my great surprise, I found that the margin in that business is not 30%, 20%. It's like 70, 80%. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. If I can make a good product that my dogs get the benefit of, and I can produce it in scale, I can sell it to you. So we started a whole company called VOSD Dog Care. You can buy these. We don't entice people to leave us with reviews and stuff that, please come and buy our products. And we only sell on our website. We don't sell it on other websites because there's a whole experience of buying a VOSD product. But when you buy that product, you buy into that experience, that system, where all the money, that company, is owned by the trust, right? So I can't take any money out of it. There's no other shareholder, right? When you buy that product, you get a great quality product that people say it's a 5.9 star whatever product right now. That's the rating that we have on our website, right? So, and it sells the products sell very well. But everything that people buy goes to the dog. So it's also my way of making it, it sustains itself. It will outlast me by a long, long shot. Because I don't have to worry that something happens to me like what happened. Something happens to me, what is going to happen to my dogs? Because if it's a multi-million dollar, multi-$100 million business, it will survive. People, professional managers will come and run that business, and I don't have to worry about it, right? So, and as long as professional managers go about earning money in that business, there are other people who are interested in the welfare of dogs, and they can be employed to take care of the dogs. So I'm sorted, right? But the interesting part in all these three things is starting with zero capital, because I could not afford to. This is my second journey, right? But I can't afford to employ the kind of time's not on my side. So when I talk about a $100 million run rate or $20 million in 3 years, this year we'll do a couple of $1 million, right? So the first full year that we will do when our stack is ready. But you're actually, after servicing all that debt and taking care of all the other stuff, you can't actually invest in, build something from, you're really building something from scratch, right? So it takes a lot of, but also my belief is that that in times of great need, when you're really into a corner, when you're the most ingenious, you have the best ideas, the best of you comes out. When you're really, really far out. When you're in a comfortable place, you'll never think of those things that you can't possibly do and execute. You'll never do that. So, literally, lessons from a near-death experience. Catastrophes and dogs have something in common, which is they are a great mirror to yourself. And you will seldom, and I'm requesting you, I'm telling you, people have a very different idea of what they really are. People, I might think that I'm very brave. I might think I have a great tolerance for pain. I might think that I'm great at managing cash flows. My math's super nice. I'm very careful about money. You can think about all these things. And maybe you do, okay? But you don't have to nearly kill yourself, and you don't have to be necessarily with a dog. But it is really important that you really know who you really are, okay? These are two great methods to do it. I don't suggest you try the first one, okay? But knowing where you stand is a key component of future success. As I mentioned, one of the other things I learned is that you never get a clean slate in life. So and it's not that the thought has not crossed my mind. Many times I've thought, oh my God, what happened, man? I lost everything. I've lost fame, fortune, money, whatever, friends, whatever, right? But there's one thing I knew that is great that has come out of it. I learned who I was. I learned about myself, my strengths, my capabilities. For example, anybody who knows me to be a very rash, abusive, very abrasive kind of a person in real life. That's what people would kind of universally think. But I know that I have tremendous patience. Everybody would think that I don't, everybody who knows me. But I know I have tremendous patience because I've seen my patience in the time that I required it to be there. I know that I have tremendous capacity for pain. Emotional, physical, I have tremendous capacity. I learned that for myself, okay? I know I have a certain degree of bravery. These are things that you need in your life, okay? But the other thing it provided me was it gave me a clean slate. Now, having the same, sometimes average success, middling success, whatever you're doing in your life, right? It becomes a pattern. It's very difficult to move out of it. You run a company, and the company is running kind of okay, and you think it's not going where you want it to go, but you can't also leave it, right? And it happens with companies. It happens with personal relationships, right? You can't just wipe it out one day. But as problematic as the situation was, it wiped my slate clean. So the same company, the same name, could I put a new business model, entirely new business model at that time? My customers perhaps be very accepting of it, right? But because we had this great discontinuity, right? Customers, we have the same name, but we don't have the same continuity with the same customers. So I can approach a customer with a 30x different bill rate, and they accept it, right? So unless you really, I don't suggest you go broke, but if you do, you'll find it to your great merit. It would have really wiped away whatever trash that you were carrying before. And learn to treat yourself well, because you're the only one person you can really trust. And people don't necessarily do that. Yeah? And I'm fond of, I drink too much, I laugh too much, too much, okay? But you need to treat yourself well. Physically, mentally, you are responsible for yourself. Because when chips are down, man, I can tell you, you're the only thing you got. If I can, so like I said, 2 days back, I started walking for the first time after 2.5 months. But before that, I could do 250 burpees on the stage right now, 500 push-ups, no problems, okay? And I was telling this lady here, who I've known for a while, my only painkiller, my kidney started failing, so my only painkiller for the last 2.5 months has been whiskey, okay? So I don't suggest you do that either, but you need to treat yourself well. Focus on your health. Focus on your long term. Life's not a small game, man. It's not like I will do something. And the idea of success that people carry, and I'll come to that in a bit, but the idea of success you need to define for yourself. The other thing is, you don't always need money. I'm a good example of that. I bootstrapped these companies, okay? And I'm doing it for the second time. The one thing that everybody says, and every entrepreneur kind of automatically thinks, is that once you have an idea or you have something, ideas count for nothing, I believe, but once you have something in your head that you really must execute, I need to get somebody's money. What's the pitch? You don't always need money. If you have something worth selling, and there's something that people want to buy, they will start paying money for it, man. Try that out first. Do you need money to scale rapidly? Absolutely. Okay. Will VOSD become a funded company at some point of time? I don't know, maybe. Right now, do we need the money, or does TWB need the money? No, it doesn't. Yeah. So think about how you can execute with the money and the talent you got right now. Define success for yourself. Money and success are kind of look like the same thing, because I think all the examples that we have is, this guy made his first $1 million, first $1 billion, and evaluation, valuation, yeah. For a business, that may be success, but for you, you need to define it. And money is not success, that I can tell you. I've had some of it, I've had a lot of it at some point of time, then I've lost all of it, I'm making all of it back again, but money is not success. What makes me feel that I'm successful? I've had, for a person like me, or if you were ever to get in that situation, to go into courts and argue for yourself, on things which have never really happened, it's a very humiliating experience. For bankers to talk to you, or the cops to talk to you, or the judiciary to talk to you like that, it's a very humiliating experience. But I learned to kind of take it on my chest for the simple reason. A, I didn't do it. I had no wrongdoing. So I don't have to be guilty about something. I don't have to feel humiliated. And because I believe that I'm successful. And when you believe that you're successful, you have a certain way that you carry yourself. Even when I had like these millions of dollars to repay, I still believe that I was successful. Because I have the ability to go back, go to sleep, get up in the morning, and do the thing that I love the most. Can everybody say that? You love your job? Most people can't, right? But I can. So I'm like, even now, my problems are not gone, because a lot of these legal things don't just go away. I still have to kind of endure that kind of humiliation sometimes, but I don't feel of that as humiliation, because, you can just put me in this place right now, but I'm the most successful guy I know, man. Money will come. provided you have a dream and you have a way of executing it, if you have that grit. All you really need to know, you learned in kindergarten. The things that you learn in school, early school, KG, okay? Be nice to people, speak to them well, don't lie, yeah? Basic stuff. Those are the things that really make you successful. That is what endures. The other stuff about having money, having opportunities, timing, you can't time your life, man. So some of you will become really successful. Some of you, I'm talking about monetary terms, not all of us will be, okay? So because there's a lot of external factors. If you consider only money, timing in the market, you have a product, doesn't sell, and now suddenly the product starts selling, or somebody else comes with a better product and they start selling, right? But what endures is how you treat people and how truthful you are with them. The basic stuff, not just with people. Just don't lie. And we forget that. We think it is okay for us to, try to get ahead and do anything that we can possibly to get ahead. The basic KG learning is the learning that I've learned to be the most useful in my life. Not the biggest, books on management and stuff. Be ruthless with your employees and customers. And most startup guys, most of you will end up not doing that. You have a great need to be liked by people. You have a need to be liked by your peers. Okay? You don't want to feel like having a beer today, but you don't want to offend the guy, so you say, okay, I'll go and have beer with them. You don't want to spend your time with somebody else today, but you'll end up doing because you have a need to be liked. You have a need to be liked by your spouses. You have a need to be liked by your customers. You leave money on the table when you negotiate for rates, for price, because you have a need to be liked. But what makes a good businessman or an entrepreneur successful is if you can contain that need, at least to the point where you can deliver, you can ask for what is there on the table. Okay? I kind of spoke about this already. And remember that life is a long song. Everybody kind of thinks that, you're 25 and by 30 I will do this, by 35 I will do that. You need to remember that you're going to live around, if all goes well, till you're 70, 75, okay? So plan for that. If you're going to do everything in the first 35 years, what are you going to do for the next 35 years? And I see the biggest guys and biggest, big companies, big tech companies, right? He's a director at 30, he's a, vice president at 35, 40. And then not everybody becomes Facebook CEO, right? What do these guys do? That's it. Like it says that time's up. For them, time's up. And then you kind of just keep hopping from company to company and just playing that game, right? Because you never thought for yourself what your success was and what is that you were, and you never played for the long haul. So I'm 47. I'm going to be around another 30 years, 40 years, easy. So time's not up for me. I'm going to be around. I get a second shot. Quickly to wrap this up, there's nothing like work-life balance, man. If you're really into something, there is nothing like work-life balance. I don't know how many hours I work or don't work, because my office, where my office is, I'm fortunate enough to have an office in the same building where I stay. There are like 10 dogs that live with me. I spend 3 days at the farm with the dogs, and I work from there remotely. If you ever start thinking that there is life and work and then there's balance, I think you lost it. If you kind of let it flow and it becomes this one goopy big mess, but you enjoy being in it, you're there. Every time I've had anybody come to me and say, I want work-life balance, I'm like, you should find another job. So that's the end of my presentation, which is true grit. It's not intelligence. It's not just hard work that defines people who become successful or make a change more than just success. Financial success is only one aspect, like I said. But people who have grit, they can grin and bear it and keep going. They are the ones who really make a difference in your life. And you must remember that, because not everybody is going to have a story like that of a Mark Zuckerberg or somebody, right? That it just kept going up. You will go up and you will fall. And I gave you the example of one person who fell the hardest he knew, and that was me. But if you can get up and start running again, that's what counts. I'll leave you with this line. It used to be something that I read almost 30 years ago, but now it rings true, and then it was just some poem. The life's battles don't always go to the stronger or the faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. And it's a decision only you can make. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody needs to ask me something? I'm more than happy to answer.
Call for the AV first, then you invite Sanjay.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Bye.
After this, thank you, Mr. Rakesh, for your expertise on creating success as a startup.